Hi guys, welcome to my channel Your Popcorn Vlogs. In today's video, let's discuss the explanation of the recently released Telugu movie Darling. The movie opens with our hero, Raghav, and our heroine, Anandi. Anandi leads a solo life, traveling. On one of her trips, she sees Raghav, who is drunk and attempting to commit suicide. Seeing this, Anandi asks, "Are you trying to commit suicide? Tell me your story. Then do whatever you want." Raghav, feeling mocked, says, "You're laughing at my misery while I'm trying to kill myself." Anandi responds, "If you die, people will suspect me because everyone around saw me with you. So, you better tell me why you're doing this." Raghav then explains that nothing in life is permanent, and he starts to narrate his story. The flashback begins with Raghav being a middle-class boy. His father promises to buy him a bicycle if he passes 10th grade and a bike if he passes intermediate. With the hope of getting a bike, Raghav studies hard, but later realizes his father cannot afford it. Determined to study well, get married, and take his wife on a honeymoon to Paris, he makes it his dream. Inspired by a local man who married a beautiful girl despite not being handsome himself because he had a job, Raghav resolves to study hard, get a good job, and take his wife on a honeymoon. Years later, Raghav secures a job and his goal now is to get married and take his wife to Paris for their honeymoon. He asks every girl in his office to marry him, but they are all already married. His friends suggest he try matrimonial sites to find a suitable match. He starts looking and finally finds a match named Nandini. Both families like each other, and the wedding date is fixed. Excited more about the honeymoon than the wedding itself, Raghav eagerly anticipates the big day. However, on the wedding day, a sudden twist occurs. The bride, Nandini, elopes with her lover just before the wedding. Poor Raghav is left heartbroken at the altar. Raghav's father, feeling hopeless, tells him that he will never bring up marriage again. Raghav, who had never drunk alcohol before, goes to a bar and drinks heavily for the first time. There, he meets a man who listens to his troubles and then, while driving Raghav in an auto, suggests that the only solution to his problem is to die. He tells Raghav to jump from a place and then leaves him there. Raghav, recounting all of this to Anandi in the present, explains that this is why he believes there is no happiness or permanence in his life, and thus he wants to die. Anandi, after hearing this, laughs and says, "You have never made a single decision for yourself in your life. Make one decision for yourself and fight for it." Suddenly, Raghav realizes that he has never taken any decision for himself. But before he can say anything, Anandi disappears from there. Determined, he starts searching for her. Eventually, he finds her and tells her, "I have thought about what you said. I have never made a decision for myself until now, but now I want to. I like you a lot. If you agree, I want to marry you." Anandi, surprised, says, "We just met, and you're already talking about marriage?" Raghav insists that he has thought it through and believes she is the right one for him. Anandi then says, "Oh really? If you want to marry me, come with me." They go shopping and buy some food, which Anandi donates to an orphanage. Seeing her character and her generous nature, Raghav's love for her grows even stronger. The people at the old age home also speak positively about Anandi, solidifying Raghav's decision. Raghav tells her, "Yes, I want to marry you." Anandi, agreeing, takes him by the hand, saying, "Come, let's get married." Raghav, wanting to inform his parents first, takes her home and introduces her to them. His parents, shocked, ask, "Raghav, is this love? How long have you two been in love?" Raghav replies, "I just met her and decided I want to marry her." His father, surprised, says, "You just met her and already want to marry her? Spend 2 years together, and if you both still feel the same, I will personally see to it that you get married." Anandi, frustrated, walks out. Raghav follows, asking, "Why are you leaving?" Anandi says, "You told me you would marry me, and now you're asking for your parents' permission?" "I don't need anyone's permission." Raghav, determined, says, "All right then, I'll marry you right now," and puts a necklace, symbolizing marriage, around her neck and takes her inside. His parents are shocked, asking, "I told you to wait 2 years, and you've already gotten married?" His father remarks, Your mother will bring coffee soon. From now on, I have a share in this house too. This house isn't just yours, it's our grandfather's. So, even though you opposed our marriage, there's nothing more you can do. My wife and I will stay in one room, and we won't eat the food you cook. We'll order our food online. Please don't disturb us until your anger towards us subsides, Raghav declared. Finally, Raghav's friends found out that he got married. They came to his house and said, "Hey man, it's your first night. Let us tell you how to plan it." They shared their advice, and Raghav, excited, went inside to find Anandi. When he tried to kiss her, she slapped him on the face with her hand and kicked him hard. The blow was so strong that Raghav felt as if he saw Paris right there. The next morning, without telling his parents anything, Raghav gave the impression that something had happened the night before. He went to his friends and explained everything. Meanwhile, Anandi behaved as if nothing had happened. Despite hitting him the previous night, she acted differently, as if it wasn't related to her at all. Raghav's friends suggested, "This weekend, we're taking all our wives to a party. You should bring your wife too. Everything will be sorted there, and you'll get some privacy." Raghav took Anandi to the party, where she drank heavily and created a scene. When they got home, she said, "Raghav, don't you like me? You could have come and kissed me." When Raghav tried to kiss her, she hit him again, not just him but also his friends and their wives. By morning, she acted as if nothing had happened. "What happened, Raghav?" "I didn't do anything, right? I just drank and went to bed," she said. Raghav was clueless about why she was behaving this way. His friends suggested, "Your wife is definitely possessed. Let's go to a Baba." They went to the Baba, who gave them 3 solutions, a small amulet, a lemon, and lastly, "There is no solution, son. You have to endure it." "Govinda, Govinda," he said. Despite this, every time Raghav tried to get close to her, Anandi got angry and hit him. Eventually, Raghav remembered Nandini, the girl who ran away with another guy after being engaged to him. He went to meet Nandini and found out she was a psychiatrist. "Nandini, I need your help." "I explained my wife's situation," he said. Nandini agreed to help, saying, "Since it was my fault that your marriage was called off, I'll help solve your problem." The next day, Nandini met Anandi and talked to her for a while. She realized that Anandi had a split personality disorder. She explained to Raghav, "Whenever you try to kiss her, a character named Adi, a different personality within her, takes over. That's why she hits you. As long as the character Adi exists within her, you won't be able to do anything to her." When asked if there is a solution to this, the response is, "Every disorder has a solution, and that solution is therapy." By understanding the reason why she became like this and recreating that situation, there is a chance for her to become normal again. However, Raghav still doesn't understand what this disorder is, why she behaves this way, and why it happened to her. Determined to find a way to cure this disorder, he visits an elderly man named Gurumurthy and introduces Anandi to him. It turns out that Gurumurthy had harassed and misbehaved with Anandi in the past. When Anandi sees him, she remembers everything and says, "Explain to your daughter and granddaughter what you did to me inside your house. I won't do anything to you." However, she leaves him unpunished for his actions, which angers Raghav. He asks, "How can you let someone who did this to you go free?" She responds, "Do you know the punishment for those who commit such heinous acts? Guilt." He's already half dead from his guilt and has lost his self-respect. Raghav is worried that if he does anything to her, the character Adi inside her might be satisfied and leave her alone. Suddenly, the character Adi surfaces and tells Raghav, "Take good care of Anandi. I am leaving now." With this, the problem seems to be resolved, and Anandi returns to normal. Raghav lives happily with Anandi from that point onward. One day, while coming out of a restaurant, Anandi suddenly steps in front of a truck and gets hit, resulting in an accident. Raghav rushes her to the hospital, where Nandini comes to see her again. This time, the character Adi resurfaces and angrily says, "You couldn't even take care of her properly for one day. Why did you marry her? You are not the right person for her. Leave her and go away." In a changed voice, Raghav is terrified. Upon seeing this, Nandini realizes that Anandi's problem is not just a split personality disorder but a multiple personality disorder. Many characters are hidden within her, and each one emerges at different times. Hearing this, Raghav is shocked and feels as if all the troubles in the world have come upon him. Along with the Ada character, Anandi has several other characters inside her like Jhansi, Maya, and Sri Sri. Each character surfaces at different times, all aiming to protect Anandi from men. Raghav realizes that these characters are the reason why Anandi doesn't allow him to touch her, to make her a normal person again. He understands it will be a difficult task to remove all these characters from within her. When asked to leave Anandi, Raghav firmly states that he will not leave her, expressing that he would rather commit suicide. He explains how Anandi changed his perspective and encouraged him to face his problems and fight for his life. He vows to stand by her and help her recover, which makes Anandi very happy and grateful for having such a caring husband. Despite Raghav's support, Anandi's split characters frequently disrupt their lives, even disturbing her parents with complaints about the food her mother cooks. Raghav faces numerous challenges due to characters like Jhansi, Maya, Sri Sri, and Ada surfacing at different times and situations, causing chaos and confusion. For instance, Anandi's behavior perplexes her family, who also experience her multiple personalities and their disruptive actions. One severe incident involves Anandi hitting Raghav's aunt under the influence of Ada, leading to family tensions. Raghav manages the situation by convincing his mother and others through movie dialogues and sentimental tactics, taking control and finding ways to manage the chaos. Raghav takes Anandi to a bubble who tries to exorcise the spirits, but the powerful Ada character remains. The Baba criticizes Raghav for keeping a crazy woman at home, but Raghav defends Anandi, declaring that he will endure anything for her because she is his wife. Determined to win over the characters within Anandi, Raghav decides to impress and convince each one that he is the right person for her, hoping they will leave Anandi in peace. From that point on, he takes even greater care of her. Raghav reflects on how boys depend on women throughout their lives, a mother in childhood, a sister while growing up, a friend in school and college, a wife after marriage, and a daughter in old age. He emphasizes that while women are independent, men rely on them for support and strength. Raghav acknowledges that he, too, is dependent on Anandi and reassures everyone that there is no need to worry as he is committed to supporting and caring for her. Gradually, all the characters inside Anandi, except Ada, begin to understand Raghav and realize that he is the right person who genuinely cares for Anandi. They decide to stop tormenting her and move away from her. However, Ada remains unchanged and insists that Raghav and Anandi should separate. Despite Ada's efforts, Raghav refuses to leave Anandi. Then, suddenly, one day, Anandi leaves home without telling anyone. Raghav becomes anxious and asks his family why they didn't watch over her. They respond that no one noticed her leaving or if she was crying. Raghav, distressed and worried, expresses his concern about Anandi's split personality disorder, not knowing how she would be at any given moment. A family member then mentions seeing Anandi on the terrace, and when they go up, they find her attempting suicide, influenced by the Ada character. Raghav manages to talk to her, eventually bringing her back home. Later, an unknown girl named Ada contacts Raghav, asking to meet him at a restaurant to discuss something important. When Raghav meets her, Ada reveals that Anandi's real name is Priya and that Anandi is one of the characters created by her split personality disorder. Ada explains that Priya is the daughter of a wealthy family and that her disorder stems from being confined to her home since childhood, even for education. This isolation led Priya to create characters like Jhansi, Maya, Sri Sri, Anandi, and Adi within herself. Ada informs Raghav that Priya's parents have found her and are taking her back home. This leaves Raghav and his family emotional and at a loss for words. Priya, now fully normal, no longer remembers being Anandi. Her parents come and take her home, leaving Raghav and his family deeply emotional. After Priya leaves, Ada tells her everything that happened, explaining that someone had married her and wanted to meet her. Priya, now curious, meets Raghav. Raghav reassures her, saying that he is always there for her, advising her to fight for herself and make her own decisions without depending on anyone. With tears in his eyes, Raghav bids her farewell and leaves. After that, Priya becomes emotional, realizing how much he must love her to say such words. She tells her father, "Dad, I have made a decision for myself. I want to live with him. I am going to him." She goes to Raghav and introduces herself, saying, "My name is Priya. Let's start our relationship afresh," offering a handshake. Finally, our hero marries Priya, and they go to Paris for their honeymoon. Everything is happy now, but there's one more thing. That disorder of being a wife is more terrifying than the split personality disorder. He might be escaping from it, but there's no escaping from the wife. Small arguments continue to occur between them, and with this, the movie ends. If you've enjoyed the video so far, please like and subscribe to the channel to support us. Let's meet again in another video. Until then, take care. Goodbye.